solid ban, and China has a habit of doing this, just banning out the meta because they're not worried about picking up their own teamie. They just want to make sure that none of the objectively super powerful characters are in, and then they can play their own meta.
And you know, speaking of super powerful characters, you got to get rid of the Superman if you are on the red side for Thailand. But I know for you, TJ, the Zenial here from China.
Yeah, I had Zenial listed as a character that should be contested. China have played it in the past, Thailand as well, but he is so powerful, I totally understand why you just feel safer if it's off the board. In fact, both of the characters I flagged as contested are removed by China during the draft phase.
Even with the first pick available to them, that Omen at the moment, sitting around 16 games, has a 78% win rate. Thailand going to be banning away the Lindis, but I know you're excited, TJ.
Of course I'm excited. Grak has come into the meta here, and it's been huge for me because he is such a specialty character. Everything that Grak does is be the ultimate play stopper. If you want to dive and there's a Grak there, you can't. It's not going to happen.
Well, you know, speaking of CC denial for Thailand, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Chagnar.
Yes, Chagnar also very good in that role, particularly if you're looking to cancel out CC. Obviously, he can use that Chaos Protection. I'd like to highlight the Irie coming through, though, because that's been a new character to the front side of our draft, and it's worked very well as a dive and sustained fight character due to the ultimate Ryu with all that stun and shielding.
Well, especially, too, when it comes to the split side of the map, you try and push out the wave, and then when your team goes for the fight, you can just come on in and clean house on a lot of low health members for China, though. Malak going to get locked in, and the Scud, a lot of CC being brought out here by China.
It is the control meta. Both teams want to either, with the Chagnar, cancel it out, or otherwise just find value, find stuns, find slows, make it so that you have the team fight entirely within your control. For China, that works very, very well because they're able to repeatedly pull in people with the Grak, knock them back with the Malak and Scud, and I really like that.
Well, seeing here on the side of Thailand, what do they want to try and pick up here? Marksman would be a nice start here. AWC going to lock in the Slims there.
So you have, the Lindis has been banned, but I would still rather have seen the Violet. The reason you go for the Slims, though, is again because it is the control meta. You want to have the stun that he has on the Spear Throw.
No, especially you try and make an impact early, and maybe they want to go for the target onto 98K if he decides to overextend, because we did see instances during the boot camp where he did overstep and get punished. Also, the Arduin getting locked in for Thailand.
Fennec coming through, possibly. I won't shout it out yet. I did, but I won't shout it out too loudly yet because that is massive for China. It's a character only the Chinese team has played here on stage, and they've done it so well. Watch for him to just power through towers.
Yeah, if he's left unchecked, especially Yi-Chen, who is so fast at farming through the jungle, he just gets out of control, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Nanwan also going to be having the Tulin, so he's going to have a very comfortable mage for himself. He played that a couple times during our group stage.
Yi-Chen is objectively nuts. B-Marks, though.
Okay.
Our star player, one of the most effective mage players currently playing the game, he's going with an out-of-meta mage, the Raz.
Yeah, the Raz getting locked in here. This is, I think, only the third time we've seen it during the tournament, and this would be quite the pick here for Thailand if it does work out.
Nanwan, the star mage over on the Chinese side, of course, already locked into Tulin to counter it. The big difference is between Tulin and Raz. Tulin will be a high-mobility character, diving into the back of fights to pick things up. Raz's primary asset is the fact that he's able to knock people up, knock them around, keep them out of position, and that is a major asset against any team but this one. I think they have so many of characters that are on the tankier side and higher mobility side. Really, the only thing I can see this working on is Yi-Chan's Fennec.
Yeah, because, you know, the Fennec seems to be the only one. Nanwan, he has that blink. He can get out of trouble quite easily, but you don't want to go, you know, toe-to-toe with these tanks. You don't want to be isolating these tanks because they're saying, hey, you're just coming closer to me. That's perfectly fine.
The Grak. He wants to give you a hug, and that's very, very powerful.
And he's going to bring out the World Devour, and there's nothing you can do at that point. Either way, we're going to go ahead and load on into Game 1 between China and Thailand. Both these teams looking to earn their spot into the winners final, where they'll go up against Korea. Oh, that's already a scary thought to think.
If you take either of these team names, put them next to Korea on a docket, I'd watch that match.
That's going to be a great match no matter what
incredible.
happens. Either way, and then of course, whoever doesn't make it will drop on down, have a second chance to make their way into the grand final. here at the TCL Theater tomorrow. Either way, we're going to go ahead, load on into Game 1 between China and Thailand.
Already very, very split focus from China. They want to spread out and pressure the jungle. You can see many Asian teams like to instantly run down mid, get an idea of where their opponents are before changing anything up.
I gotta say, TJ, I love the in-house crowd when they're coming in, cheering for these teams. You see here, China, though, going quite aggressive toward the Might Golem. Now Thailand finally responding. But for Yichen, this is what he likes to do. He's already a couple seconds ahead. Actually, Thailand going for the smaller monster here.
Yeah, very aware of the small value of farm, and I love that from the Chinese team, or the Thai team. They always know how important even the minor buffs are.
See 007 now just getting onto the Sage Golem. Yichen going to be on his might, so starting to already farm up pretty fast here. We'll have to see whether or not Thailand can respond in the mid lane. You see Nanwan already going quite aggressive here on Memarks. He does have Junjun to the side on the Grak. Level 2 is hit, but the minions are in the way. He can't go for a hook.
Yeah, I think the planned play was Nanwan baits in the play, and then they're able to use the Grak to come out with the stomp, the silence, slow down the fight, and maybe get a little bit extra damage.
Yeah, you saw it there, Nanwan currently in the running for the most kills in total across the tournament in that mid lane. We'll have to see whether or not he can keep up the pace here against Thailand in Game 1. 3 members starting to roam toward this mid lane. Don't want to give anything up. We do have an Abyssal Dragon coming up in about 15 seconds.
That was a spear throw into Power Surge. Both stun projectiles put onto Junjun. They very obviously do not want to be pulled in.
Remix up towards this top side of the map, going to be pretty quiet, but China already looking for this dragon pressure. Want to start on the right foot.
Thailand, no.
Yeah, Thailand, they don't want to give this up just that easily, but the Slims gets hooked back on in 07. Gets taken down quite low. Abyssal Dragon down to 2,000 health, but first blood is going to go to China. They want to keep on going. Make it 3 kills. Yichen able to pick up another one, and they want to try and take down Cherry.
Oh my God, China, that was beautiful. Only one falls, and it's indeed to the tower. Thailand's only hope for a response is Remix up on top.
Yeah, Remix, he's going to be trying to get some pressure, but look at this fight again, TJ. China, they start on the right foot.
But it's Munji. He comes in from the side and just picks up 2 kills in an instant, and that's what we've seen so much from Scud players this tournament. The ability to flank and the ability to just chew people up if they're not instantly aware of you.
And you can see China there. They are ready to go, already have the morale in their favor. Up now 2,000 gold before 3 minutes.
Top lane, Remix was going instantly at the right time for split pressure. He should have been able to get that tower in trade, but he was unable to do so due to the high mobility, I assume, of Munji.
Well, Cherry down toward the bot side of the map, just going to keep on the pressure. Junjun staying here in the mid lane on the Grak, wants to try and find somebody. Might see Moss as he comes through the brush. Does not have level 4. He does not have the ability to cleanse away anything just yet. Unfortunately, though, doesn't look like he will have to worry about anything.
Yeah, the Jargnar able to dodge that CC, walk out of it, and in doing so, I think, waste a major ultimate, because that World Devour's on a pretty long cooldown, and China want more.
They want to go through it, but if you land the hook, you don't need to worry about the ultimate. Nanwan will pick up the kill, but look at the surge coming back from Thailand. They want to try and answer at Nanwan going down extremely low. 007, though, has to back off. A double kill for Nanwan.
Moss tried so hard to get out ahead in that fight, but he was shut down.
TJ China, they want to go for the dive. Mingji up toward the top side of this lane, wants to pressure. Yichen uses his ultimate, they go for the dive and take out 007.
Memarks is nearby as well, but he can do nothing but watch China take the first tower of the game.
7-2 the kills. Meanwhile, though, up toward the top lane, there was a trade of tower, but China now can go ahead and pick up their second Abyssal Dragon of Game 1, TJ.
One of the things I've loved from the Chinese team here is they're consistently focusing out the tank players at the midpoint of these fights. You can see Moss had the potential to turn around that second one alongside Cherry, but they were both shut down right when Thailand really needed an extra bit of HP just to take the fight so that their backline could start doing significant damage.
You see Thailand, they're trying to at least trade back the Spirit Sentinel up and toward the top side of the jungle, but that's not worth, especially when you're talking about Abyssal Dragon. On top of that, now 3,000 gold ahead in game 1, even before the 5-minute mark. This was the early game aggression we were talking about, looking for the fights around the objectives.
And that's what they're doing, unfortunately. China's shutting it down. They've read both these major fights so well and had, crucially, a flank on both these early fights. Watch the map positioning from Team China, because it's consistently brilliant.
You see Hook comes on through, does not land onto Remix, no more minions. You do have the Slims over to the side. They want to go for this, actually, on the side of Thailand, as 2 members of China aren't there to play. But look at this, they're waiting so long. That ultimate is able to do so much zoning, TJ. Junjun might go on down. 9-8K is able to get the cleave on back. Yichen still very healthy. 9-8K will finally fall, but look toward the mid lane. Junjun, he gets the hook, but he hooked in his head, TJ.
Remix is ready. He says hello. China, in the meantime, are pressuring mid lane, though. I was wondering why they were waiting so long on the rotates. They weren't sure how that fight up top was going. China might have been able to disengage. Either way, they have mid lane pressure, yet another tower, and possibly 2.
Yeah, you can see the damage here coming out on the side of China on the tower. Mengji does have the ability to get away himself, though. Still, that tower just surviving with a sliver of health. Let's take another look up toward the top side of the map.
So 9-8K going down is huge, because then Junjun is the only frontliner. When he lands that hook, there is nobody else to trade damage with him. And, well, he's pretty easy to shut down, and he probably would much rather have not landed that hook had he realized his ally was gone.
But look at how fast they take this Abyssal Dragon at this point. That's the 3rd one of the game. At 6.5 minutes, Yichen has been farming up a storm on the Fennec.
The fight may be somewhat even, but the cold is not. It tells an entirely different story, as does the double kill count in favor of China at 8-4.
Well, that's just the ability to find these objectives, find these fights, and try and surge the gold lead without even having to go toe-to-toe with Thailand. Look at this, though. China rotating up toward the top side of the map. You still have the Scud in bot lane trying to apply pressure on toward the tower. It feels like Thailand are a little bit confused. They don't know where to go.
Yeah, China oftentimes do struggle in these team fights, but they do a very, very good job at finding other fights that aren't full team fights.
Already at 7 minutes, but look at the knockup coming on through. Darkslayer is going to be secured by China. Can Thailand clear out some of these buffs, though? Junjun gets caught out on toward the side. That's going to be 3 members. Make it 4 as Thailand are able to punish China for the early Darkslayer.
The Darkslayer shut down the World Devourer. Junjun had the World Devourer going, and the Darkslayer impact on the ground knocks him up and cancels it, and then there's no CC to slow down the take, and they end up actually losing the fight.
And Thailand, this is them being able to play well from behind. They see that China are getting just a little too confident in their play, trying to go for an early Darkslayer, and it gets turned on them.
And again, I think Thailand will succeed if they're able to last past this 10-minute mark. So far, they're doing a great job. Their late game potential is much greater because they are better in team fights.
Well, 25 seconds on the 4th Abyssal Dragon of game 1. Game a little bit closer now after the kills coming on through from that Darkslayer fight. 8-8. Only a 2,000 gold lead in favor of China. Junjun has to be a little bit careful here. Moss knows exactly where he is. They have an idea where this Grak is positioned. Moss is going to be able to just go ahead. Actually gets the ultimate out there from Junjun.
Yeah, Junjun automatically hits the World Devourer.
And that's an Abyssal starting coming up.
As soon as he finds the hook, so the idea is you find the combo. I don't think China can contest this.
No, without that ultimate available, you can't zone off. And this gives Thailand the opportunity to get an objective on toward the board. Cherry will pick it up. Meanwhile, though, up toward the top side, Mengji is able to take down this tower.
What isn't he doing on the flanks? This entire game, Mengji has consistent pressure on the side lanes. He's responsible for most of the tower takes this game, and I've been loving it.
So now China, after failing to secure a kill in mid lane, they lose out on the Abyssal Dragon. Thailand are able to slowly start creeping their way back into this gold lead.
I think I've put something together about me marks over on the Raz. It's very, very good against the Grak, because you can move if you get hooked in.
Well, China, they're able to take yet another tower, their 4th one of the game. Junjun looking for a hook over the wall. Maybe doesn't want to find one. Yichen also behind them. Remix is actually toward the top side, proxying the wave. Just hiding in the jungle, trying to maybe scout out where this Scud is going to go.
He's found the Scud, and he's also sure that there isn't going to be a wave for the next few moments. So this is a winnable fight.
Here, though. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, Marks was able to pick up a kill. It's a 1-for-1, but Thailand now have the pressure in mid lane.
Yeah, Thailand have the mid lane control, and they're going to try to couple that into some jungle clear as well.
Gets caught out.
That is huge.
Comes over, but it's not even close. And the Arjuan will pick up the kill.
Shutting down Yi Chen, though, is so much bigger than either of the other kills. Remix going down is unfortunate, but the main source of damage on the Chinese side being absent means that Thailand can continue to push forward into these fights.
And guess what time it is, TJ? It's 10 minutes into game 1, and China, now they are looking to be a little bit in trouble. Mingyu, though, able to pick up the kill. Moss is able to zone back 9. That one, though, goes in toward the back line. 007 is able to escape.
Beautifully done, constantly finding pressure in the back of those fights.
And Remix now wants to come on in and add a little bit more to his skill count. Junjun, he gets the World Devour, but he's got no more teammates with him. Yi Chen finally is able to come back off the respawn, but Thailand, they keep finding the extra kills.
China should not have taken that fight. They knew they were at a deficit. The second they find favorable pokes, the second they find some ground gained, that should have been it. Stop, you won, you defended, you don't have your main source of damage available.
007 up toward the top side, has to be careful. Junjun
Good stuff.
Is waiting. He's like, hey, come on, I'm the Grak. I want to pull you on in, bring you to the rest of my team. 11-12 the kill count. China still, though, ahead by 2,000 gold. They do have those Abyssals on the table for them. Yet another one has spawned. Question for me, TJ, do you go for another Dark Slayer? Because that ended up costing
it's going to be
time.
It's going to be rough because both teams basically need to contest that Dark Slayer. It's game winning at this point. So it's going to be another forced team fight, and China have a losing record in those.
And on top of that, they're starting to lose a lot of pressure toward this bot side of the map as Thailand now pick up their second Abyssal Dragon of the game, bring the gold within 1,000. This is a great comeback coming out so far after the start China had.
And a lot of it, I think, is also the focus on Junjun. He's a lot of what makes the Chinese side work. And if you see, Thailand are very, very careful to always have a stun, always have pressure on him. I don't think we have a way of getting the stats, but he's been stunned most of the game.
Yeah, 9AK tries to get out with a shock. Memarks gets brought on back. They're going to trade 9AK for Memarks. Still, though, a 1-for-1 Thailand. I like the idea, though. They were the ones to make the play, the proactive play to come up toward that top lane and try and catch out 9AK. Junjun, once again with the World Devours, just a little too far.
Cherry will be here on the flank. He's going to go in.
Wants to go on in, gets the slow on down. The knockup's also there. Yi Chen puts down his ultimate, though, to zone out the rest of the team. That one goes on in, adding more to that kill count, TJ. 007 will also fall. China now are able to find themselves the kills. The Dark Slayer coming up. Oh, my goodness, Junjun. Come on. You can't do that.
Dark Slayer up in 35 seconds, and China have just secured everything they need to get it with this lane pressure. This is all on Memarks and Remix.
And we were talking about Thailand being able to play from behind. Remix is able to pick up the kill. He gets out of the fight. Yi Chen also almost falls. Remix is able to trade. That prevents the pressure from coming from China in the mid lane.
Remix should not have gotten that, but that is the power of Irie, the high mobility. Use the Shadow Dash in, ult, get out instantly.
9AK going to go back toward the bot side of the map. Dark Slayer now here for the second time. He spawns on over 13 minutes, 15-14 the kills. China, they've gotten themselves yet again a 3,000 gold lead. But look at this, Thailand, they want to go for this. Look at this, the Scud is actually thinking about going back to base. They don't have the CC. Thailand gets the free Dark Slayer.
Yeah, really, Thailand knew they had that the second they find the kill and scare China back. China consistently have played these major objectives a little bit passive.
Oh my goodness, Junjun once again with the hook, but you got the Arjuan. He's going to be able to be tanky enough to survive that.
Yeah, he'll just be able to stroll out. This is the wave, though, a major fight for Thailand.
Thailand could go for the dive here if they want to. Tower's going to be the main pressure. And they're able to take it down, even with the ultimate coming out from the Fennec.
Yeah, the Chainhammer Cyclone consistently used as a zoning tool. The zone is not big enough. There is no way to stop Thailand here.
Oh, again, almost landing a hook. 007, he's going to be counting his lucky stars, but again, the pressure coming in from mid lane. Thailand, sure, they're down in the gold total, but they feel like they're playing ahead as they pick up once again the Abyssal Dragon.
The major thing Thailand needed to get there for me was just a high ground tower. If China can survive this Slayer buff without losing a high ground, this is a victory.
You see China looking to play on back, don't want to get caught out. Moss looking to position himself, 9AK being the front side for China. So Michael, I'm just going to be stolen by Thailand. Memark's going to go ahead, try and pressure up toward the top side. Looks like it's going to be a 1-1-3 push coming in from Thailand, or maybe just looking to see if anybody overextends. Junjun can't go for the play just yet. 9AK stuck underneath his tower. The hook's not going to land from the Grak. And China, they're able to survive, but Thailand, they're looking. They want to pounce on anyone who's going to overstep.
Mid lane is here, the wave, but the buff is faded. Thailand, do you really dare go for this?
Junjun missed the hook. Spear comes on out. They're just trying to zone them back. You can see this tower is the main focus. 9-8K has to be careful. Remix just goes in with the ultimate to try and get the stun, and they're able to take down the front line of China.
Beautifully done by Thailand, and they're not done yet. Here's the main push.
Yeah, you see Junjun, though, was able to get the hook onto Cherry. 007 goes down extremely low. China still pretty healthy with their 4 members, even going against this 5-member squad of Thailand.
Cherry's so tanky. He could just,
I don't understand.
He sat in base underneath 2 members, a tower in a World Devour, and was fine.
And TJ, look at this. The first gold lead for Thailand the entire game, now knocking on the door of China. China, they're able to at least keep their high ground towers. They haven't lost them just yet. This gives them an opportunity to reset the map, try and find a pick, and then make a play from there.
Every single individual member, save Remix, on Thailand has less gold than their counterpart on the Chinese team. Thailand are behind, but they've been playing so well as a team, these team fights, winning these team fights off of coordination, that it doesn't matter.
Abyssal Dragon has spawned once again here. Thailand could go for it if they wish to. Instead, Remix looking to push out the wave, try and get some pressure onto that split. Meanwhile, up in top lane, doing the same with Cherry. Thailand just trying to pressure all sides of the map, but they gotta be careful, because if China's able to find 1 member caught out in spots. Speaking of getting caught out, though, Mungji gets taken on down. Thailand with the man advantage.
A spear throw from halfway across the map. That's team coordination.
Yichen, he gets caught out toward the side, has to back off. Thailand, they're able to break the base. The high ground tower has fallen. 9-8K, he's able to escape, but Thailand now have to pressure through the mid lane and the bot lane. Want to go for more. 9-8K is going to get caught out, and Thailand are looking for game 1 against China. Nanwan trying his best. He will fall, but 1 minion remains, and game 1 goes to Thailand.
Beautifully done by them, and I absolutely love the team play we saw from them. Thailand said in that promo video, they said team play is our strength. That proved it.
And China there. Now the question becomes, will they make that mistake again, because they lost out during that fight with the Dark Slayer? That's where this game turned, TJ. It was just over-aggression.
I think it's a case of the meta. We talked about being the control meta, a meta that favors team play because it's not about any one player. We saw during that final base dive, Cherry actually used his Cole ultimate to dive in, and I don't know, cut the wave is accurate when you're talking about players, but that's what he did. He dove into the backline and scared Yichen back, this terrifying marksman player on Fennec. If he's not in the front lines because there's a giant Arduin sitting on him, then he's not going to be effective in the fight.
And you can look there on the side of China. You saw Nanwan was able to put on a great performance, but it just wasn't enough to beat Thailand after losing out to that Dark Slayer.
And Junjun was pretty sick on those hooks.
Oh yeah, no, we kept, the Grak was a little ridiculous.
And that's why Grak's banned so often, because it is such a hard character to counter if you can constantly be pulled that badly out of position, like so. But so much of the time, teamwork in the late game, you have these characters who are entirely okay getting pulled in. If you pull in Cherry on the Arduin, he's fine. Even the Raz, I finally understand why it's coming out from Memarks in this matchup. It's because the Raz has the mobility and indeed the knockback to be okay with being pulled in, because he can get out again.
And you saw Thailand there. They're excited. They pick up their first game on stage at the TCL Chinese Theater. Now needing only 2 more games to take the series over China. But I feel like China, we saw this happen in the quarterfinals. When China dropped a game, TJ, they came back fighting and swinging. They will look to try and dominate this game too.
I think they're a very intelligent team. They sometimes definitely are still adapting to the meta, and they'll make some decisions that don't make sense within the context of how the game is currently played, but nobody can argue that they're not a great team at adapting, because they definitely understand how to read what their opponents are doing and make changes based on that.
We're we're going to go ahead, get ourselves into the draft quite shortly for Game 2. Looks like from the side here of China, they are opting to stay on the blue side for this Game 2. Makes me kind of wonder, TJ, when it comes to this draft, what kind of went wrong? Or is it just, the gameplay that we saw?
I'd like to take... if I'm Thailand, I'd like to take away some of that control. Because so much of what China suffered from was those constant stuns. The Raz power surges coupled with the flying spear coming through from the slims constantly had poke over on the Grak of Junjun. If you can shut that down, if you can make it harder for Thailand to win those poke fights, then China can maybe be better going into the full team fights.
Well, let's get into pick and ban here. The draft for Game 2. China on your blue side, Thailand on the red side. After picking up Game 1, and for China, what is going to be the plan? Are you going to look to try and stick to the same? Actually, an interesting one here.
Yep, I agree.
Ban out the Malik.
Like I said, get rid of some of those control abilities. The Malik is the largest control ability in the game, I think. Don't quote me on that.
But that was on the side of China, remember? 90K
Yes.
was the one playing it.
But if you're looking to change up your own draft, then getting rid of the Malik means that you don't have to worry about it getting played against you.
For Thailand, though, red side ban, obvious here. It's going to be the Omen. This is kind of interesting for me, TJ, because for Thailand, they came into this draft so far. You're kind of forced to ban away the Omen and the Superman. You leave one of those up, it's going to be likely automatically picked by the blue side. Even then, they're able to play this game. They're able to play confident in their composition. For China, though, blue side going to be, of course, the Teamy ban.
Teamy, the character, I don't think we've seen any of...
We saw it once in the last series with Korea and Chinese Taipei.
And it's so good unless you have the team play to shut it down. That's why I think it's China deliberately banning it out here, because Thailand are a team that maybe feels confident enough in their coordination they can make that communication happen.
Now, this one's an interesting one for me, TJ, because oftentimes we see the RM being banned on the red side. China, though, opting to get rid of it.
Control abilities. If you're talking about a team, Thailand, that just was so well coordinated with abilities that stunned, slowed, knew how to leverage them in a team fight, you really don't want them in an RM, who, by the way, has so much control.
Just a giant AoE wave that goes through in a straight line, and especially during those jungle fights is pretty lethal. For Thailand, though, going to be banning away the Lindis, once again forcing Yi Chen to go on something different.
Yi Chen's so good on the Lindis. If you can ban away the Lindis, at least they're playing Fennec, which we've seen you can deal with.
They were able to go toe-to-toe with them, even when he was farming up pretty fast in the early game.
I'd actually like to see Yi Chen play Slims here now, because Moss or Thailand aren't going to counterpick Slims or Fennec, so instead you force them to change their own strategy, and even if they get Violent, who's a very powerful marksman in her own right, you know that they don't have that stun capacity, the constant CC that Thailand were abusing so well last game.
Now, for this one, TJ, China, they ended up banning the Zenial in Game 1. Now going to pick it up first in Game 2. Put it on one of their split lanes, look to try and apply pressure, but then come back for those team fights. I feel like this is China admitting, hey, we got to go toe-to-toe with these team fights, but look at this from Thailand.
Oh, boy.
This is a power move.
It's Moss on Grak, and I cannot wait. Moss is one of the best Graks currently playing the game, and he's currently playing Grak.
On top of that, you get the Chugnar to try and interrupt any kind of CC that's thrown at you.
Yes.
That can likely, he'll be able to get that Grak ultimate off just fine.
One thing I will say, though, is China's use of that Zenial is insane. They constantly, it feels like, have the knowledge and the communication to bring that Zenial into the fights in creative and new ways we don't typically see.
Well, seeing here for China, Nanwan, he's cycling through all his picks, taking all his options. I'll have to see whether or not he's going to go ahead and just pick randomly, it seems. He did pretty well on that Tulin.
I think he's just using the Lucky Spin feature.
Oh.
He's just going through all of the mages. That Scud will come through to complement him. That makes sense. And we're ending up on Nanwan's favorite mage, Tulin. He's a very predictable mage player. He only really plays Tulin.
Yeah, but he likes to go very aggressive. You saw that in the last game. Likes to dive into multiple members when they're low health, try and pick up those multi-kills. He picked up a triple, I believe, actually, during the tail end of one of the fights. And there's a reason this guy has the highest amount of kills in the tournament.
He's nuts.
He just dives in. He's bloodthirsty.
One thing I would like to note is we haven't yet seen Crixie in this game. And we haven't seen Crixie banned either. But you want the Raz into the Grak. That Grak is now on the Thailand side. Memarks, I would expect him to go for a more static, higher damage mage.
And with that, too, because the mage was already shown on China, Thailand can then opt to go ahead, look to try and pick up other roles. They're going to go ahead, pick up the Slims, try and get that pick potential with the Flying Spear, and of course, full remix on the Irie.
That Slim is very important to the Thailand playstyle, and I think Thailand struggles when they shift 007 over to a more damage-focused marksman because he's not a raw talent like you sometimes see on teams where marksman is hard carry. He's just a very, 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 very good team player.
For China, though, this would be out of the question. Junjun was one of the players in group stage to actually bring out the Lumber, so it wouldn't be surprising.
I like
for
Lumber.
me. The Rourke, though, would be a little bit different.
Going into this tournament, I would have said we're going to see a Rourke every game because he's devastating. Coming out of the group stage, we haven't seen any. Rourke has been played, but he's never been effective.
Well, for Yichen, too, on that Rourke, he does look to farm up really fast. He can get that gold funneled onto himself, so he can maybe try and impact the lanes, impact those fights when he has the spike of gold.
You do actually bring up a good point. The Chinese playstyle is very much about funneling Yichen a lot of the time. You put him on Fennec, and that results in quick tower deaths and very good burst damage onto opposing players. You put him on Rourke, I think the same thing can happen, but Rourke has slightly less capacity to deal damage to towers and slightly more capacity to win these long team fights, which Thailand were struggling with.
Yeah, and on top of that, too, he's pretty predictable. He has to come directly to you. He has to get close if he wants to do that damage. And when you're getting in range of a Grak, that's a little bit concerning, even though you do have his ultimate.
Yeah, his ultimate, of course, does slow down the damage he can take. It gives him a ton of shielding, and he actually gets a percentage of the damage he deals as shield HP, which is kind of like lame lifesteal, I guess. One of the major things, though, is it will allow China again to last longer during these fights, and that's where they were for some time struggling. Whenever a fight tended to go on into the later phase of the fight, Thailand cleaned it up.
Yeah, we saw that. And for China, like my big question is, if you do funnel that gold onto Yichen, are you going to be over-aggressive? Are you going to try and make the Darkslayer play that can cost you the game?
An aggressive China is a good China.
It's a fun China.
Because when they play very aggressive, when they consistently are able to push into the enemy jungle, I think that's where they play their best AOV, but it only happens oftentimes when they feel like they've fully farmed. Thailand, I think, took advantage of that because by the time China felt comfortable, Thailand were ready to go as well. If China are willing to play aggressive and focused from moment one in this game too, I think that favors them.
But I feel like you have the ability to try and fight back during those fights if they over-aggress, because you got the Grak that can easily punish for positioning if you try and go a little too aggressive, especially near the early towers. If you're able to get dragged underneath the tower, there's no escaping that.
The Grak is a major pickup. I won't contest that. Moss, especially playing him, he's insane. I feel like I haven't stressed this enough. Moss is the person that made me believe in Grak.
There's a reason why Rip often refers to him as the boss. Because he's able to make the plays, he's able to set up everything for Thailand.
Did you know, and this is my fanboy moment, I've actually aped Moss's build. When I play Grak, I use his build because he is that good. He is the defining Grak player of the meta for me, and I think they absolutely can pull that out here.
Well, we're going to go ahead and take a look here, guys, because it seems like we're just going to have to reformat the draft. I think the picks are going to remain the same because it looked like China, they were unable to actually swap. So maybe that Rourke pick actually isn't getting locked in. We'll have to double check.
Well, I think it was a case where they weren't able to get the characters onto the players they wanted. So you ended up with the Rourke on the person who picked it as opposed to the Rourke on the person who wanted to play it in-game.
What do you mean? They're going to obviously not funnel the Rourke on Yichen. That's totally not the strategy, TJ. What are you talking about?
Fine. It's just a case of getting your characters in the right places on the right players, and I'm sure it'll happen. It's just a case of a few more minutes.
That's all right. You get a little bit more time with us. You know, we like.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Abort.
All right, but let's try and bring it back here, TJ. When you're looking at the team style play from game one from Thailand, looking for those fights, looking to fight back against China's early aggression. If you're China here, you try and swap out your play style.
To a certain extent. I want to see China play a little bit more aggressive because they are a very, very, very good aggressive team. But I don't want to see them play so aggressive in the early game that they're not able to get that farm. So much of what China does well is power farm in the early game. Get their key players fed, get their set plays, their set strategies ready to execute. If they're not able to do that, if they're not able to build those set strategies to succeed, then they're going to struggle again in those late game team fights. And we said they struggle when games get late. They also struggle when team fights get late, because that's where they have to start adapting, and they seem a little bit uncomfortable adapting mid-game and mid-team fight.
Yeah, because they like to make chaos in the mid part of the game. That 7 to 10 minute activation for China, that's where they decide to go for the plays.
Yes.
Look to really crush their enemies. They like to go for the base at that point. They want to try and find a team fight in the mid lane or in the side lane around the objective. Go ahead, take that Darkslayer. And we saw that. Exactly 7 minutes, they went for the Darkslayer, TJ. Didn't pay off. So now they got to kind of reel themselves in.
Much like this desk, China plays as if they're scripted sometimes. And that enables them to just tear through games when everything goes right, because they just play through their bullet points. They know exactly what they want to do at every point in the game. But when things go wrong, when their play gets stuck up, when their set execute on the tower gets shut down, then they have to start adapting, and that's where a team like Thailand, who's super experienced with this specific edition of the game and has such a long time playing together as a team, will come out on top oftentimes.
And you're coming out of the boot camp as the victors on the side of Thailand. So you're coming in pretty confident, but now, looking here, they have themselves the first game against China. Still, though, their group stage play, they've shown times where they were able to kind of disrespect their opponents, and it came back and bit them.
The one game they dropped was a game where, what was it? It wasn't Pura. I remember that because I thought it should be Pura.
No, I'm trying to remember.
It was an
Arthur.
Arthur.
It was the Arthur.
I remember the Arthur because it was especially strange, and they played it and it backfired. So getting overconfident is a consistent problem for Thailand. I don't think it'll happen here, though.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to go ahead very shortly and get ourselves back into the draft here between China and Thailand.
We have been told the problem was specifically with the 5th pick over on the Chinese side. That would be the Rourke.
Yeah, because honestly, we were kind of questioning that Rourke there, TJ. We were thinking, you know, it does make sense for China.
It makes sense if their primary focus is team fights, but that's never really been the Chinese focus.
No, they try and get members that are caught out of position, trying to maybe push a little bit, especially those split lanes where China really like to try and punish their opponents. So let's see here. Again, draft going to be pretty quick here from what I've been told. We're going to go ahead and try.
It should be identical.
Should be identical up to that final pick for China.
And when we get there, like I said, I would have really liked China to try and bully 007 off of the Slims, because you don't want that big CC, those spear throws, constantly punishing your backline and your key characters. They don't go for that. 007 already drafted the Slims earlier on in the draft, so it needs to be something, I think, high damage. I'd actually really like a Violet. I don't think we've ever seen Yi Chen playing a Violet, but I'd like to see him play it here, because having that extra ranged poke gives you the potential to take Thailand's players low before they can get into the late phase of the team fight. For me, China need burst damage.
And on top of that, too, you do have 9AK that's going to be on the Zenial, so that if Yi Chen does get a little bit out of position, he will have the ultimate coming on through, provide a little bit of shielding and some protection. But again, the question is going to become for China, what is going to be the plan here as we get to now see a look at the picks coming through.
They seem to really be talking it over. They didn't know why they ended up with the Rourke, I assume. But
yeah, I guess that was the big question. They're like, guys, come on, we're serious.
Oh.
Okay, so ooh, this would be a little bit different. This is not what
this is the Mina.
All right.
Okay. I mean, by the 5th pick, it doesn't matter because it's in the same cycle. Yeah. So when I say 5th, I was thinking vertically. They were picked at the same cycle, so it's the same. But the Mina coming through is a change-up. It gives a lot more potential HP and damage within the fight, but we haven't really liked seeing the Mina in that support role, because if the Mina has to take a fight, it's all on how built they are. It's not about their control abilities. They have the Dark Dominion, and that's basically it. If they have to actually take a fight, then they need to be ahead. They need to be winning the game to win the fight.
And on top of that, you're going to be running directly into Thailand, which has that spear, that has the hook available. And if China does fall behind, if they get punished early, if they overstep like we saw last time, it can come back. But this is what you were talking about for Thailand. Crixie getting locked in.
Yeah, I like it. Maymarks swapping over. Like I said, you don't have the Grak opposing you. You no longer need to run the Raz. Maymarks play something a little more static. Crixie doesn't have the same escape potential as the Raz, but she has 8 times the damage.
Yeah, especially the AoE damage when it comes to these team fights. Where
Moonfall!
Yeah, you got the Moonfall, a bunch of AoE, and especially for Thailand, if they're able to go with their front line with Moss to get into that jungle, find those fights, control members of China, that could be a devastating combo.
You know what that Mischief Nature's Wrath combo is perfect for? People have been hooked. You pull somebody in and then slam them with a spear throw, follow through with Nature's Wrath and Mischief. They're dead then and there.
And if not, Remix could clean it up too with the Irie.
Yeah, you've got infinite stuns, infinite CC, and infinite damage. I think this is a draft that plays massively in favor of Thailand because they have everything they were looking for and a little bit extra. I did not expect them to get the Grak. I'm happy they did. They have infinite control and a ton of damage.
Well, for me, though, with China, it's Yi-Chen on the Rourke. You know, the gold's going to have to be funneled onto him early if he wants to make an impact, because that's where Rourke succeeds, is getting ahead into that mid-game, putting down a lot of damage.
It's a draft that favors the Chinese playstyle. They want to win in the mid-game. They aren't going to succeed late because that Rourke will fall behind, but Rourke's power spike, his point at which he's doing the most damage, is about halfway through the game at the 7 to 10 minute mark. That's when he's going to get out ahead, that's when he's going to win the fights quickly, and that's when the burst is going to be highest, and that's when China look their best.
Yeah, that's usually around the time China likes to hit the go button. Looks like, though, the players had to take a really quick pause when they entered onto the game. Looks like we're just sorting out one more quick bug, and then we'll be back into Game 2 between China and Thailand. And for China, you know, they came in here feeling pretty confident. I know I got to talk to a couple of their players really quickly through their translator, and they felt really confident. You know, they had the extra week to prepare coming to the TCL Theater, and now your first game, you're now down 0-1 in the series. How does that affect you?
Many people were theorycrafting China versus Korea.
Even Korea themselves were feeling it.
Korea, when you talk to them, said specifically, we expect it to be China in the finals against us. Now, this is double elimination, which means that even if you lose here, Thailand or China could still come back to the finals, but this would be a major blow.
Well, we're going to go ahead, load on into Game 2 here between China and Thailand as we get set to see whether or not Thailand can go ahead and pick up a 2-0 series lead against China, or can China bring this back, tie us up, and get us down into a best of 3.
Early game poke from Thailand. They're looking for this Grak hook. The reason you go for that set execute is because you can pull the buff all the way into the Dragon Pen. I don't think anyone had kited it, so I think he just missed. But if Moss lands the hook, they have 2 players there instantly to follow through, burn down the buff that's just been pulled in. You have a free golem.
I'll see here, actually. It was like Thailand actually did not try and go for the invade on the other side, so Yi-Chen's going to get himself 3 buffs.
They thought that they were going to land that hook from Moss and get the buff instantly for free. They wouldn't need to risk a full invade. And as a result of that, I think they've actually made a pretty major misplay, and they're behind in gold.
And this one's actually interesting. For Yi-Chen, he says, I already got myself the Sage Golem. I can just go ahead and give that to Nanwan in mid lane.
Yes. So, watch out, because we said stack Yi-Chen earlier, they may have.
Well, you see there, Moss forced to flicker away. Junjun was also there to the side on the Mina. Actually, Nanwan got caught up with the knock-up. Maybe they were trying to pick up the buff for themselves. They said, oh, that was the whole game plan. We let Nanwan pick up the buff, and we just kill him in mid lane.
I like the pressure there from the Mina. We said Mina is a kind of weaker mage because they don't have control abilities they can rely upon should they fall behind. But if you can play aggro, if you can constantly be finding farm and level and damage, then you don't have that problem.
You see here already China looking to rotate toward the bot side of the map. The Abyssal Dragon going to be spawning here in 3 seconds. This is looking pretty similar to Game 1, where they were looking to find the Abyssal Dragons early, stack those up, get the gold, get the experience right away. Yi-Chen over toward the side. Abyssal Dragon down to about 2,000 health. Junjun actually flashed over the dragon to catch out Mimarks. On top of that, China pick up the Abyssal Dragon.
The kill on Mimarks is massive. That is the vast majority of the Thailand team damage, and they also got more gold on Yi-Chen. He is the guy who was able to get into the middle of that fight. He is the guy who survived that fight, and indeed was able to pick up the dragon for his team.
So already the start China was looking for, very close to game one, where they got themselves the early Abyssal Dragon and a first blood. Now they just got to continue on that pace. Meanwhile, for Thailand, what do they have to do here, TJ? What do they have to do to
slow down the game?
Slow it down.
Keep getting invades, keep taking away buffs, make China a little bit more hungry for gold, and put them in a situation where come that 10-minute mark, Thailand are still close enough on par they can start leveraging their better team fight coordination.
Well, Spirit Sentinel was started by China, but they want to try and go into this jungle. Moss looking for the hook. Not going to find it, though. 007 wants to try and contest for this monster. Remarks looking to steal it away, but Yichen is able to pick it up.
China waited on doing damage to that buff. I think it was actually perfect timing from Memarks to throw out the projectile to try and steal the individual jungle camp away. But China baited out the damage. They knew it was going to come in, and they were able to pick it up afterwards. Just fun little game knowledge.
Feeling pretty confident here. Thailand actually coming back into China's jungle on the bot side of the map. Looking to try and answer here. Moss is going to land the hook into the flying spear. This is the combo with the knock-up into the moonfall. Memarks can't finish off the kill. Jun will survive, and now the turnaround from China. Namwan just jumps into the middle of everyone, but gets taken down. Thailand is able to answer back. 9AK running for his life, but Remix comes around on the side and picks up a kill for himself.
You can't team fight versus Thailand, not like that. If you want to win these fights, China, you need to do so off the back of burst. Focus down players. Don't sit in a situation where you're taking a long engage, especially not versus Moss.
And Moss now going to actually start up the Abyssal Dragon. Jun is able to get the hook on down as well as the ultimate. Moss going down pretty low, but the wombo combo. Thailand picks up another kill on China.
And they know China won't dare complete that Abyssal, so they just fall back, keep it resetting, don't take any risks with low HP on your key frontline characters like Moss. Poke it, reset HP, come back later.
Oh, Memarks actually gets taken down there by Nanwan. So they're able to find a kill in the mid lane. That should open up Dragon for China.
And because they now have that Dragon, China are able to reclaim that gold lead. It's now going to shift a little bit more dominantly in their favor. It's all on Cherry.
You see Dragon being taken here. China are able to pick it up themselves. Yichen will get the credit. And slowly getting more and more gold onto that Rourke. But you wouldn't say he's very far ahead at this point. He's only been farmed. He hasn't been part of any kills.
He started well. He's had good farm, but he's still only 100 gold ahead of his counterpart, the Slims.
Going to go ahead, pick up the Sage Golem for himself in the jungle. You see Yichen during playoffs so far, 20 kills in that quarterfinals.
That was insane. How many games did he play? Just 3 maps, right?
It was only 3. It was a 3. No, that was 4 games because it was China versus Vietnam.
Okay. Little bit less scary, still terrifying, especially given China's quick game time. That's 3 kills in 3 10-minute matches.
And Nanwan too also adding on to his kill counter for the most kills in the tournament. And the first tower of game 2 going to be picked up here, and they also pick up the kill on Remix.
This is that burst playstyle I was talking about. If China are going to play well, it needs to be more like this. Keep doing these set executes, taking these towers uncontested.
Look at this. It's just you make one mistake and China will take 2 of your towers in the top lane. This opens up the top side of the map. On top of it, now they can look to try and pressure in on to the mid lane. Memarks gets caught out. Mengji is able to go with the knockup, and Yichen will find the kill.
He's just going to leave. He's just going to walk out through their jungle, and Yichen here to make sure he can't force
into the fight. Gets hooked on back. World of Hour coming on through. You have the Zenial rejoining. Yichen is able to survive, get an extra auto attack before he falls, and China can continue picking up kills left and right. They're going to trade back as Thailand are able to find 2 members of China for themselves. Either way, though, Tower is just going to survive.
I said watch for creative use of the Zenial ultimate. There you go. Angelic Splendor being used incredibly aggressively, but it provides the healing and damage reduction necessary to keep Yichen alive and give China favorable trades in that fight.
And that's just that extra auto attack you saw come out from Yichen to help secure the kill before he went down. China making quite the aggressive move. They are only, though, up 2,000 gold because you know what? Thailand, they were able to answer back a couple kills of themselves, but looking to try and get themselves positioning onto this Abyssal Dragon, but there's no one near.
But this is where China excel, when they're able to just use set strategy. The second Thailand forces them to adapt, forces them to change their game style, that's when Thailand are going to start winning.
You see Mengji up toward the top side of the map. China going for an invade onto the Sage Golem is going to be secured. Hook comes on through from Moss, but he would have had pretty much no follow-up. His tower up in top lane being abused by Remix. He will not be able to do much, though, as the minion wave gets cleared out. Yichen looking to farm up the minions and also take down that mid lane tower.
Again for free, China finding constant oppressive pressure, and that's what I love from them, because now they've taken all these towers, they can get the dragon with no contest. Keep building that lead.
That's going to be the third Abyssal Dragon, TJ, at 8 minutes for China. Yichen and Nanwan now starting to get cycling, especially Nanwan. He's sitting at 5-2-0.
Excellent work, and take a look at that game time too. We highlighted the 10-15 minute mark is where Thailand are going to start to win. We haven't yet breached 10 minutes.
Yeah, but you see China, they got that step. They're able to find themselves.
This Slayer's huge.
Yeah, that's going to be the Slayer.
They're going to go
what we saw in game one, but look at the difference here is China have zoned away Thailand toward the top side of the jungle. Yichen, though, he's taking a lot of damage.
Oh, that's big! A massive hook comes through.
Junjun is going to get caught out. You got the Zenyo coming on down, but China, meanwhile, still in the Dark Slayer pit. They're going to be able to pick it up. Can Thailand try and pick off members?
Yes.
Mengji gets caught out toward the side. Remix finds the kill, and this looks identical to game one, TJ. China, they go for a Dark Slayer, but they get punished.
Cherry does go down elsewhere on the map, though, and that's what I want to see from China. Hold on to your buffs. It's not nearly as devastating as that first game, and Thailand indeed need to start worrying about their towers. Yes, you're finding pressure, but there are some people knocking on your doors and cleaning up your jungle.
They're going to go ahead, steal away the bot side of the map. The Sage Golem going to go on to Nanwan. And look at this nice rotation, because now you have Yichen already pushing the wave toward the tower. Nanwan can just come on down. They can pick that one apart.
Yichen doing a lot of damage on the Rourke.
Does a little bit of damage, kind of what happens when you know your strategy is to funnel gold. But even then, he's not super far ahead is what we're used to seeing, but he's still aggressive. He still wants the plays, and Remix is going to be his victim. Zenyo rejoining in on toward the fight. Nanwan's going to go ultimate. China still pressuring as they take down two members of Thailand.
Again, that Angelic Splendor was very cleverly used. They waited till Memarks popped his Moonfall ultimate, and then they used the Angelic Splendor specifically to shut it down. They know where they can spend that AoE damage reduction so that it minimizes the damage coming out of the larger AoE from the Crixie.
Abyssal Dragon also now spawning once again onto the map. You can see China looking to rotate, instead opting to go toward the top side of the map.
I like this.
With the Yichen.
I really like the fact that they're beginning to shift up towards the top side, because it forces Thailand to choose, do you want Abyssal or do you want to defend your high ground?
Well, especially, it's exposed. You don't have any more towers available. The hook came on through. World Devourer's out, but Moss is going to get taken on down. Mimark's over toward the side, is able to pick up some damage, but China is still pressing forward as they pick off Moss.
An uncontested Moonfall comes down, and that is why Thailand are still in the game, because the AoE damage coming through just onto the people that aren't even in the front lines is massive from that ultimate.
That's forcing China to have to back off into their jungle, go for some backs, back to base, regen back up. You still see 98K up toward the side lane. This has kind of been his home. We haven't seen a whole lot of 98K, only just during the fights when he is needed.
And I like that from the Zennial. You want to be separated from the team. You want to be able to use your Angelic Splendor as your key team fight ability. That Malleus is very useful as a chase, but you don't necessarily want it to be used in the early phase of the fight as an initiation or anything.
Yichen going to go ahead, pick up the Might Golem. 98K still over toward the side. Remix trying to clear out the minions. Doesn't have any more support here, though. Just trying to force Remix back toward the tower. There is four members of Thailand. So if China were to be aggressive, they would get taken down.
This is, again, though, China pressuring every single side of the map. China, yes, they are not finding value, but they're currently building to their gold lead, which is now exemplary, because they've gotten every single Abyssal, and they're still finding pressure. They're still finding minions on every single lane.
So it's a 6,000 gold lead here for China, still looking toward this bot side tower. Moss going for the blind hook, trying to pick off any member of China that might be hiding in the jungle. Still, three members looking to pressure. Instead, they're going to back off again, clear out the jungle. They're slowly just taking more and more gold from Thailand.
Mungi was pressured here in the jungle, and he's the anchor. This is what Thailand need to do. Press the anchors. Get them out of your jungle so that China don't know where you are.
You see that tower, though, gonna get taken on down. 98K tries to go for the play, gets hooked on back, but that's the tank, though, Thailand. Do you want to go for this? China's still pretty healthy. Yichen, though, that's the target you need to take down. Junjun's gonna fall. Another hook from Moss. And once again, Thailand is trying their best to stay alive in a game they shouldn't.
This is past that 10-minute mark. Thailand are now starting to power up and get into these proper team fights where their team play gives them an edge.
And there is so much standing gold on the map here. You see Cherry just looking for a dive. They're able to at least clear out the wave on the side of China, but look at bot lane. Now Remix has minions and still 10 seconds before anybody's up.
You said standing gold. That's all these jungle camps on the Chinese side that have not been touched because they've been so aggressive. Now Thailand can clean that all up, close the gold gap, and get a whole bunch of free towers.
You can see it swing back. China just lost 3,000 of its gold lead, now sitting only 3,000 ahead of Thailand. And this is what we saw in game one, TJ. Thailand, they just keep fighting back.
When you get to the late game, it's always Thailand because they get to these situations where they can adapt, where they can throw curveballs into the fight, where Moss now has his hook and his World Devourer every single time for that lethal combo. And they, now that they've scared China out of their jungle, are finally able to get a little bit more map pressure back. Keep that farm close with major pickups like the Abyssal.
Yeah, Abyssal's going to fall here. In Thailand, they understand this is their opportunity to get themselves back into this game, try and get some of this gold on the map. Yichen, though, still looking to farm out. I think the big factor here for me, TJ, is Moss on this crack. He has to land the hook onto the squishy members of China. If they're able to take down Yichen, you saw it in that game. There was even a flash from Remix. Remix almost gets caught out. He has a decent amount of mobility. He's going to get to safety.
So, yes, Moss landing the Grak hooks is major, but I think also Thailand are fine in these fights so long as there isn't a dive onto their backline. I would say there's more focus on Memark staying alive than these hooks being hit.
Yeah, Junjun gets caught on back. World Devourer coming on out. You have the Moonfall coming on through. Memark stays alive. Zenyo now going to rejoin the fight. Nanwan wants to go for the plays. 007, super low. He'll get taken down. Memarks will fall as well. The double kill for Nanwan as China's able to clean up in the mid lane.
Beautifully done. Yes, Memark stays alive the whole fight, but all of the ultimates are blown onto maybe 2 Chinese team members. That's not what you want to do with your biggest damage abilities. You need them to find major value, and now your high ground is under threat.
And Remix, he can't hold this tower, TJ. He's just going to sacrifice himself to try and delay China, but they are not stopping, knocking on the core. China going to tie up the series 1-1.
Beautifully done to tie it up, and it all comes from the fact that one team fight where Thailand get a little bit over aggressive with their ultimates. They end up in a situation where they've used all of their major damage abilities and they have nothing left. If you spend World Devour on the first hook you land, it's not there to keep Memark safe as the fight develops.
And even then, we saw China make the mistake we saw in game one, losing out at the Dark Slayer during a fight. Thailand were able to clean up a couple kills, but they didn't lose the map. They kept up the aggression, and even then they faltered a couple times. But look at Nanwan's damage, TJ.
Yeah, there's a reason he's one of the best mages in this. I think Sui said he thought Nanwan was one of the best mage players currently playing the video game. Seeing that, don't disagree. He plays incredibly aggressive at times, and I love him for it. So many, like you see Memark, he's a very passive mage. He'll always be towards the backside of these team fights, behind a frontliner. That's the common knowledge of where you're supposed to stand. But when the Chinese team is able to find that dive, the split push, Nanwan's always on the front lines.
You saw Memarks there with that Moonfall. A couple times was able to find members of China. You can see, though, China, there are times where they'll find relief. They say, we're back into the series. We've tied it up. Now we just need 2 more to take it home.
1-1. It's basically a best of 3 at this point.
And when it comes to that now, you got to be careful, because now the mistakes mean more and more as you go through this series. Games getting closer and closer. China, after falling in game 1, are able to fight their way back here in game 2, equal out our series. Thailand didn't see that confidence, didn't see the smiles I did after game 1. Now coming into game 2, got question, are they going to try and stall out the games to the late game? Or are they going to try and go toe-to-toe with China in the early?
I think I again want to see Thailand play because it was working. The fact that they lasted until the late game worked because they really turned that around. It became anyone's game, and it was just on who won the next team fight. And they had an unfortunate situation where, like I said, they spent too many of the ultimates early, perhaps over-eager, nerves getting to them, and China were able to win that crucial team fight. But I think they were playing the overall game right. Last till the late game, play safe, don't let China knock you out at the 10-minute mark when they go for their big push, then you win the game.
Well, Thailand opting to take the blue side for the draft. So we get set for game 3. Going to have themselves, for once, not on the red side. So I'm interested to see if the picks or possibly bans switch up.
I bet they go early for that Grak.
Maybe go for the Grak early, try and leave it open. Or if you're on China, are you kind of forced to have to ban that out? Because that's been a big factor, I feel like, with Moss.
So I think so much of what Moss offered that last game wasn't necessarily him landing hooks, but the threat of it being there and the good team play around it. I don't think it makes a major difference which team gets Grak. But maybe it's a very mental character. If you start getting hooked repeatedly by Grak,
it starts getting in your head.
So I can see maybe China don't agree with me and just want to get rid of it.
Well, Thailand going to be starting off the bans here with the Omen, of course. Meanwhile, China don't like to play against that Arum.
No, and I completely understand why. The Arum would be brutal in the hands of Thailand, a great team play team. Thailand don't want to see the Irie played against them. This is interesting, though, because we've gotten awfully far into this banning phase, and several of the key characters you expect to be banned out are still on the table.
Yeah, especially here on the side of Thailand. Usually you see the Omen ban on the red side. Now for China, there's some options available. What do you want to try and leave up here? See if Thailand take the bait on something else and then pick up 2 power picks of your own.
Thailand have the potential to force through something like Superman, which is why China needs to ban it now. Get rid of what you absolutely don't want to see, because Thailand are leveraging this first pick. This is a very mean drafting phase.
For China, of course, banning out that Superman for Thailand. Final ban going to be coming on through here quite shortly. If you're on Thailand, when you're going against China here, what has been kind of the really annoying thing to deal with on the side of China?
I think
Scud.
Yeah, that is odd. Thailand banning out the Scud, again dealing with the fact that that's been a constant backline nuisance, perhaps answering your question, but more importantly, forcing China to choose what don't you want to play against, because Zenial is basically going to be in. Does that get first picked by Thailand? Does Thailand prioritize something like Teamy instead?
That's a possibility if they want to. Still, China deciding whether or not what they want to go for their final pick here on the side. Still see Scud was the thing taken out here by Thailand on their final pick. And finally coming on through here for China. Going to be the Crixie. They did not like playing against that.
Teamy is up. Teamy is one of the most powerful tank players in the game, one of the most powerful support characters in the game due to that resurrection ability. Thailand have got to be considering. Instead, though, they go for the best marksman in the game, Lindis, and I hadn't really been thinking that through, but it's a very, very good pickup or very, very good play from China because they cannot allow that Lindis to go through to Yichen, given how good he is. So I 100% believe that Thailand outplayed them or China outplayed them in that draft, and now they should get teaming.
Well, for Thailand, of course, locking in the Lindis.
This was like China. A 5D draft, for the record.
Yeah.
There were so many dimensions to that draft. They should get Teamy Zenial.
That's a possibility here. Zenial being hovered here by China. Teamy still available. Made it through the bans, which is, of course, a very new feeling for us, DJ. You never see it. Honestly, and the fact that it wasn't first picked by Thailand, too.
Well, they had to, that's what I mean by I think China outplayed them, is because they had to absolutely, no matter what, stop that Lindis from getting through to the Chinese side. They play Lindis so well.
Ooh, okay, no. China. They feel the Zenial and the Chugnar.
They feel Chugnar is more valuable to them than Teamy, which frankly, I just disagree with. I just think you're wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, Thailand, so they're going to go ahead, pick up the Teamy and the Malak. This is like a power draft here from Thailand.
You won the 5-dimensional chess game, and then you gambled it all away on a coin flip.
For China, though. Nanwan not too much out of the question here if he picks up the Tulin. We saw it twice already. We've seen it multiple times throughout the tournament. Oh, unless they want to take a page out of Korea.
Briefly, though, let's talk about what Thailand have picked up. We said they have a ton of focus on control. They've just got two of the best control tanks in the game. The Malik can take the front line with his Shock Ultimate, really defining fights. You have the Resurrection from Moss. I expect to see plenty of that. They don't need this Grak. They are okay if Grak goes against them because they have arguably a better setup.
Yeah, for China, this would be quite the tanky front line if they wanted to go for it.
But I like it because you can play it through with the Natalia.
Exactly.
Use the frontline Natalia Grak
especially
combo.
the combo. Yeah, that combo, the Grak and Natalia combo is ridiculous, and it's going to get locked in.
Keep Natalia safe. Keep Natalia protected. You win the team fights because you can burn down even the highest of HP tanks. If Natalia is burned through, if they're able on the Thailand side to get to the Natalia, Thailand will win every fight. And I worry maybe they have the tools to do that because in addition to having decent dive on both the Teamy and potentially his Kilgroth and definitely the Malik, you also have that Resurrection from Teamy, which is a very powerful dive tool. Many people don't think of it as such, but when you can fully commit to a fight, know that even if you die, you'll still get to keep pushing forward. That's very powerful.
And on top of that, then you have the Lindis over the side. And speaking of dive, if this Flash gets locked in,
Memarks plays a very good Flash.
This comp right now for Thailand is looking pretty good in the face of this Natalia pickup on the side of China.
So,
okay.
They had a bit of a tough call there because do you either run the Raz to counter the Grak or the Flash to counter the Natalia? Either one could be messy. They opt to go for the more defensive options. Say the most important thing we don't want to get hit by is that Grak picking off our mage. But it still functions well because the Raz has a decent amount of mobility. What I want to see from Remix is how aggressively does he play on this Kilgroth. With his ultimate Gore Lord, he has control immunity. That will get him past the frontline Grak combo. That will get him past the Juggernaut Energy Surge. Then the question is, can he do enough damage to shut down the Natalia?
Well, Rourke's going to be the final lock-in for China. And for me, TJ, this is a little bit of a concern because if you look at the damage threats on both teams, you got Thailand who's running 3 at the moment. You got the Kilgroth, you got the Lindis, you got the Raz too that can just go ahead and dive. Honestly, if Nanwan or Yichen gets caught out for China, they only have 1 damage carry left.
I favor China. In the face of that all, I still favor China because if this composition works perfectly, the fight and the game will be over in a flash.
But the question is, they've been making mistakes here in these games. They've been making some risky calls, and it has come back and bit them. Are they going to be able to perfectly execute this? I do believe China is a team that can pull this off, but this is putting a lot of cards on the table here in Game 3. You're tied 1-1. I could see this maybe in a 0-2 series where they're ahead. They're looking to close out a series. They can try and, try some new things out on stage. Might be too much of a change-up. We'll have to see, though, as we're going to be loading on into Game 3 quite shortly. Both teams have 1 win under their belt. Now looking to try and take the lead overall and then go into Game 4 looking for the decider.
We talk about China as an execution-based team. With this composition, there is no better time to execute because they can make a plan, say, okay, here's the play, draw it up. You have 3 frontline characters, use the Grak, use the Sharknar to take the front line, slow down the play, and then find value from behind. If things get messy, you have Angelic Splendor to save the day.
Well, let's go. Game 3 between Thailand and China here in our semifinal. Winner will move on to face Korea in our winner's final. Our loser will drop down in the bracket, go against Chinese Taipei, and try and make their way to the final.
This is an invade.
Bottom half. This is an invade coming out from Thailand.
Hello, Thailand.
Goodbye, Thailand. On to Must, but unfortunately it's still level 1, so you can't really do a whole lot.
Yichen, though, just single-handedly cleared out all the jungle in response, and this Kilgroth remix may be in trouble.
Yeah, he's caught out toward the side. The rest of the team roaming on over, but Thailand, I like that adaptation. They realize their Zenial's in trouble, move up into the river, rotate, and try and go for a play. Jujun, once again, landing a hook onto Moss, but it's still only level 1.
Yes, and there isn't much follow-up for the Chinese team if they don't have, like you said, those two players instantly next to each other. That is the deficit, the downfall of their team, is that unless you have either the Natalia Nanwon or the big damage coming through from Yichen, there isn't anything to follow through the major hooks.
But look at this, the hook coming on through. He actually landed that one, TJ. From brush to brush, it looked like. First blood to China.
Beautifully done. They faked me out and they had the follow-up. Yichen was there. That's what we were saying. You need to have that duo in the jungle, and if you can, you will find kills.
See a remix on this kill graph toward the top side of the map, trying to push it up. But now China, Junjun is everywhere on this map, TJ, already with the crack.
Yeah, and if they can keep that follow-up going, keep Nanwon close to the crack Junjun, they'll win.
Honestly, I don't even know if they have to go for that combo yet, because so far they keep landing these hooks. It's going to be a tough time here for Thailand. Abyssal Dragon, though, is started here by China. They got themselves the positioning they were looking for. Cherry comes up, but he's got no support.
It's all about Cherry and Mods trying to find zone, and then they have a jungler to follow through. Right now, the closest person with Punish was actually 007, and he was completely split from the team fight.
So it's a free Abyssal Dragon to start things off. China continuing their trend. They've picked up the first Abyssal Dragon every game so far in the series. Looking to rotate up toward the top side. Still 0-1 the kill count.
I like the pressure coming through still in the jungle, trying to make sure that China can't do what they do so well, which is press into your own jungle, steal your own buff, steal your own value. And if you can keep doing this against them from Thailand, if you can keep scaring China back, you extend the game. You stall it out past that lethal 10-minute mark.
Oh, Moss coming up toward the top side of the map is going to land the stun. Able to get some decent damage here onto Mengji, but safe. He's going to be underneath the tower. But 007 once again, TJ. This Lindis is getting caught out.
And he can struggle in the jungle. We saw that a bit during the boot camp.
And in the mid lane, too, Thailand looking to try and answer back here. Have Nanwon able to get some damage out, forced to flicker away back to the safety of the tower.
The fact that they pressured in mid saved their bot lane for Thailand. It was under threat, and it is again.
Yet Cherry, he's not looking too good right now. Has to forcefully use his shock. Hook brings him back in. Nanwon's also over there, and China pick up another kill. Yichen, now ultimate at this point, has all 3 kills of China. They're funneling the gold onto the Rourke.
And that Angelic Splendor was so good. That's exactly what I was talking about it being used by. You have your set play, and it only requires 4 of your teammates. Use the Jargnar Crack combo to slow down the fight, Yichen and Nanwon to finish it with their high damage. If things go wrong, if there is a response, if you don't instantly obliterate Thailand, you have Mengji to come through, use that Angelic Splendor, slow down the fight again, and heal up anyone who's low.
We'll see Moss here on the team. He almost gets caught out there by the hook. Junjun actually had full knowledge of where he was. Moss looking for it. Instead, going to have to run back toward this Abyssal Dragon as it spawned. It looks like Thailand actually have the opportunity to go for this.
But China are doing the right thing. If you're not able to fight bot lane, find pressure elsewhere. Actually, I praised them too soon. Not
AWC. He's just trying to delay them, it would seem, because look at this. The Grack's going to roam on over. 9AK falls, but the Abyssal Dragon doesn't get taken down. Shock is used by Cherry, and this can allow China to rotate over.
If China get this Abyssal Dragon, that's a worthwhile trade, but they shouldn't. There is no way they should find anything.
But Remix is just shredded underneath the tower and top.
We said, Remix, you need to perform not like that. China, find the side lane punish, and that's what they're so good at.
Well, Thailand, again, going for this Abyssal Dragon. China should be able to at least get this top lane tower
they have to wait for
on the next minion wave. They still have it there. 2 members up toward the top side. Moss looking for a play. A beautiful combo. Nanwon is able to survive, TJ. Moss now the new target for China. And over toward the side, yet another member falls of Thailand. It's now 5 kills. China are picking up kills left and right. Moss will get taken on down. 3 members fall in mid lane.
007 got completely caught off, separated from the team, and when he tried to return to the fight, I guess he was scared of getting killed in the mid lane, but he just ended up being slaughtered easily.
Shock comes on down, but it's a little too late because Remix is taken out underneath the tower. It's now a 3,000 gold lead at 6 minutes. China starting to turn on the engine for their team here toward that 7-minute mark, it would seem. They're getting set up.
I hear the tractors starting. It's taking a few cranks. but the Chinese machine is rolling into town, and they are so deadly at around this time if all is going well.
And this is scary too, because now this is the time where we see the Rourke actually get ahead in the gold count when it comes toward this Lindis, because unfortunately for 007, he's not being too sneaky. He's not acting like a secret agent in his
No.
He gets caught out in his jungle left and right. Junjun also going to come on down, and 007 a little bit closer, but here comes the raise from Nadwan.
He'll be
able
back.
to knock down Moss. He'll rejoin the fight, but look at the low health bars, TJ. PUBG is going to sacrifice his life, but Yichen is just pushing on forward. China with the dive in bot lane. Memarks wants to try and find a way back into this. Are you serious? China, they've lost this fight in bot lane. Thailand turns it around.
Why are you able to do that? It's all on Cherry. He dives right into the middle of the fight. He gets a triple kill by the time it's done.
How?
Here's where it went wrong. Moss goes down. Yes, you're right. China should win this fight, but when Moss gets back up, he slows it down. He allows time for a lot of the Team China members to be knocked low, and Memarks is being kept safe this entire time.
And look at this, a Dark Slayer at 7 minutes, but it's from Thailand. They identify they have this opportunity and take it away from China.
I don't think Thailand actually need to do much with this Slayer. Merely the fact that they have it and they'll probably get some ambient value is massive. If China get this, it's 2-3 towers easily. But this is the peak of China's power. This is when both they as a team and their characters that they're playing play at their best. So all Thailand needs to do is deny it, slow down the game, give China a scare, and then win in the late game.
Gold count going to be equaled out at 19,500 gold. Remix toward this top side did pick up that tower during the replay, so now Thailand have a little bit of pressure toward the top side of the map. Also the tower in mid lane. Memarks gets caught out. Word of Hour. Both Slickers are going to be used. Nadwan actually using his ultimate as well.
Those were some slick moves.
That was good moves from Memarks, but in bot lane, they're also going to go for the dive, and 98K gets some help, but it's not enough. They get the kill underneath the tower and take the gold lead here in game 3.
They wanted that tower. Memarks has pressure in mid.
Trying to get the kill onto Nadwan, but Junjun is there for the safety on the Grak, so unfortunately can't find the kill. You do see Yichen instead just going to go straight for the tower on this Rourke.
I think they knew Yichen was there because you could see Memarks took the long way around, didn't go through his own jungle.
Remix looking for the kill though. Nadwan's just looking to zone away players of Thailand, but Yichen gets taken on down. Nadwan will fall too. 3 members of China get caught out once again.
Beautifully done from Thailand. Another perfectly executed team fight. They knew where all of their opponents were. They knew the Angelic Splendor was down, and it was a easy win, really. When you have that much knowledge, it's like playing Battleship with complete vision of your opponent's board.
And with this too, they can now pressure in onto this mid lane tower, open up the map of China, and start pushing their way into the jungle. If they can get into this jungle, try and catch China off guard, set up some traps, they can look for plays, or they can just pull the trigger in mid lane and go for the dive. A 3-man knock-up on the side of Thailand coming on through. Yichen getting shredded down. He's able to survive. A double kill for 007. He's able to stay toward the bottom half of the mid lane. Nadwan's able to trade back a couple more kills, but 4 members of China will fall.
Memarks just picks him off with a beautiful power surge, and enough of Thailand has survived. This should be a high ground tower.
You can see China, they're struggling. It's desperation, it would seem, for these fights underneath the tower.
This
Thailand could go for the game. Yichen gets caught out, he gets taken down, and China are going to lose game 3, and Thailand go 2-1 in the series.
Beautifully done. That was insane. They should not have gotten that game.
You said this should not be game, but then Yichen tries to stay a little too close to the minions, gets caught out, and China, it's looking like game 1 here on the player cams. This is a pretty quiet team, as it would seem.
This is where that Rourke, I think, backfires. If you're playing any other marksman, you have the range to pick off those minions. When he plays Rourke, he literally has to get within Grak range, and being within Grak range is a very, very bad thing.
And we were talking about this. This is a perfect comp that needs to be executed by China. Yes. If one member gets caught out, you got to back off. But China, they're the team that likes to fight till the very end, and we saw that a couple times, even taking fights. Honestly, they could have just backed off into the jungle. They would have only lost one member, and even then, they got the early lead.
Thailand,
we felt like China were going to run away with this game.
How many of these scrappy fights did Thailand turn around well after China had won them?
This is a big one for me here because China, they'd like to try and stay. Sure, you have all those members grouped up, but you're going to lose all your team. And then you lose the towers, and that led to that push.
That was a fun match for me because we saw the contrast between the two teams' playstyles. We saw the perfectly executed play come through from China and indeed be brutally efficient. But then we saw when it doesn't work, when Thailand is able to make these fights last and slowly, steadily eke out a victory in them.
So game time, 9:54 for game 3. Now Thailand looking to move here into game 4. They have the ability to close out this series, TJ, over China.
And so much, let's talk about this gold game. China are normally in a gold lead. The fact that Thailand were able to consistently stay not only close gold, but oftentimes in the lead, is a major component of their victory. Press into the Chinese team. Don't let them invade. Don't let them control your game.
And what we saw in Game 3, during the draft especially, was a bit unexpected.
Yes.
We were not expecting those bans coming out from Thailand. That was a pretty mean draft they played. Now China on the blue side, they will have first pick.
Okay, to go back to the draft, because it's still like bugging me, they should have gotten Teamy over on China. Like, they had every opportunity to lock in the Teamy, and perhaps we saw kind of the weakness of the smaller character pools of this Chinese team because they have only played this edition of the game for what, 3-4 weeks?
No, and especially here for Moss, because that Teamy, I didn't get to mention it because early game, it kept getting caught out there. We saw Grak hooks land time and time again onto Moss, and I felt like he wasn't executing as best as he could on that Teamy until the later game fights where the resurrection was so important. Even then, I didn't see it too often.
Well, a ton of what I liked from Moss's Teamy was his stuns. The Pooty Poots coming through oftentimes define the early phase of the fight, and you get 2 or 3 off in a longer team fight. And no, that's not the flashy resurrections that we're so used to marveling at, but it is absolutely where Moss excels.
Yeah, for Moss here, though. Coming into game 4 here against China. Now the question is, China on your blue side, what do they want to ban away? What do they want to try and pick up during these drafts? Because they have a lot of
Teamy through.
I don't understand it, to be honest. Like, the fact that they had it, that it was actually picked the second rotation from Thailand too. Like, China had the option to pick it.
Well, they played it so well because the Lindis had to be picked against them because Yi Chen is such a good Lindis player. So I absolutely think that was a good heads-up play. If your plan is then they have to pick Lindis, let's get the teaming. That wasn't their plan, and that was a result they suffered. The first ban will come through at the very last moment.
Yeah, it's going to be the Malak getting caught out there in the bans. Even though he was trying, you did see that during those fights, the shock coming on through, multiple man knockups.
It was a very good Malak.
No, it was really, really done well here.
Cherry is insane, and he plays, it's kind of fun. Contrary to many split lane players, he plays a very, very support-like role. He's always playing the heavier characters, the more tanky characters, and he's always having a very good impact for the team.
Now here for Thailand, of course. On the red side, you gotta ban away the Superman, but more importantly for China, what do they want to take off the table here on the blue side of game 4? Omen. Gotta do it.
I don't think we're going to see any more Omen.
I don't. I doubt we'll ever see him again, especially from these teams, because these were the teams. Oh, never mind. We got baited there, TJ. It's going to be the Teamy.
Teamy, also a very good ban, given the last
that makes
match.
sense, too.
Now, of course, I do think China needs to ban the Omen. The RM will come through first from Thailand, and I'd actually have liked them to sit on that a bit more, because I think they'd be better with the RM than China would. I know that Junjun prides himself on his RM play, and he is very, very good at it, but I would have liked to see them force that.
Well, time ticking here for China on their final ban. Going to question exactly what the priority is going to be. Do you want to try and take that Lindis right away for Yi Chen, or do you want to try and ban it?
Lindis should be banned.
Okay, Chugnar getting banned out
Thailand
here.
should ban Lindis here. If they didn't, I'm upset.
But then that leaves up the Omen here on the side of China.
And that is the call they made. Get rid of the Omen. China, get Lindis.
We'll have to see here. Got to calm yourself down, TJ. I know the team here is facing elimination for Yichen. It'd be a nice pickup if they want to try and go with that, or do they want to try and switch out the composition? Because you know what, they took the Natalia in game 3.
I don't think there's a point banning mages at this point because both these teams have such broad mage pools. They can play basically anything in the mid lane. We saw Memarks flexing on the Raz recently. So it's not worth it. Instead, prioritize those characters that are going to be contested, like Lindis, like Zaniel, like Omen.
Well, Lindis going to get locked in here for Yichen, so China going to have one of their power picks to open things off, but that does leave open the Zenial.
Should be locked in. There's no excuse not to. Thailand, when they get this Zenial, they take away, I think, the last character that the last overpowered character, in quotes, don't get on me, Twitch chat. In quotes, the last very powerful character that is shared by both sides. Now it comes down to just character pool matchups like the Irie. Both teams play an Irie, so it gets picked very early on, but Irie is not overpowered powerful. So watch for the Grak to be drafted fairly early on here as well, as again, it's shared by both teams.
Yeah, Scud going to get locked in for China on top of that Grak. So already the safety there, a nice front line, a lot of CC available for China to try and protect Yichen, as long as he can position well on the Lindis.
Right off the bat, I actually kind of favor China just because they got the Lindis.
Yeah.
Yichen is so good on the Lindis, and Lindis is such a powerful character that unless Thailand win every other part of this draft, I don't think they have a shot, and I actually would have liked them to prioritize this Grak over the Irie just because it gives them the possibility of punishing that backline a little bit more. However, I will not for 1 second say that Remix has been unimpressive on that Irie.
Yeah, it actually fits his playstyle very much because what he likes to do is sit in those side lanes. He's actually got one of the lowest kill participations when it comes to the tournament, actually, with the remaining teams. He likes to just sit in the lanes and then come in for the cleanup after the fights. This would be our first for us. We've been talking about Memarks on his Flash and also the Violet for 007.
Yeah, we said maybe Violet doesn't really fit the Thailand playstyle because they do prefer to have a little bit more control abilities on their mage. Going for the Violet gives them better pokes though, and I understand why into the Lindis, maybe that's what you're concerned about. Have the potential to dive the Lindis, shut them down in the backlines. That's why you bring in Remix over on the Flash, that's why you bring in 007 over on the Violet.
China there. I was doubting that. This makes it a little bit more realistic. The Tulin hover coming on through, and the Wonder Woman also going to get locked in.
Wonder Woman will come through. Memarks facing them. What do you want? I think you need a little bit better of a front line. I think give yourself something else that can tank in the front of this team fight.
Because honestly, it's going to be Memarks just trying to dive in onto China, try and take out that Lindis if he can. But honestly, there isn't much else here for the team. You only have the Zenial to try and soak up some of that damage or try and dive in along with the Flash. We'll have to see here, though, for Thailand. Final pick being hovered. Looking at possibly an Alice.
Better
be a little bit more proactive, too, with the plays.
So use that Alice Hissy Fit to zone out the fight. Play from behind it if the pressure comes through. If your play from behind the Hissy Fit with the Violet and the Flash doesn't work out, you have backup plans because you have this Zenial to come through. It's going to be play that folds around getting a staggered fight, though. Thailand work very well in a poke right now with the ability of Remix to dive in, to damage, leave. With the ability of Violet to poke with the tactical fire and the Flash to dive in with that super speed. If they don't have a home base to return to, if they don't have a safe place to stand, they're going to be in a lot of trouble because they'll have blown all of their cooldowns and have nothing left.
And on top of that, you have the re-engage that will come out from 9-8K2 on that Wonder Woman if he tries to hold on to the ultimate too.
It's going to be a big game, and it is potentially China knocked down to the lower bracket in the semifinals. Get off your phones! It's an important set! I see you in the crowd!
TJ, maybe they're just playing some Arena Valor. That's the greatness about Arena Valor. You can play a game in between the breaks. That's how fast the games can go. But like you said, it's going to be game 4 here between China and Thailand. China looking at possibly being forced down into the lower bracket where they had to go toe-to-toe with Chinese Taipei.
Yes.
Meanwhile, then Thailand would move on to go toe-to-toe with Korea.
Thailand-Korea would be a very fun match to watch.
Either way. Still one more win, though, TJ.
Either way, China-Korea would also be an insanely fun match to watch. This is absolutely going to go very late in this individual game, and like I said, I actually kind of favored China to win this, but just based off the draft.
Well, we're going to have to see here. China looking to force a Game 5 against Thailand, who only need one win to move on in the winner's bracket. We'll have to see how this one pans out as we load on in to Game 4.
Already, China trying to gain some knowledge of where their opponents are so they can go for these early invades they've consistently done. Watch Yi Chen this game. He farms so quickly. They're pairing him with the Wonder Woman in a support role so that the Wonder Woman can keep him safe, use the CC and frontline potential in order to do that.
I'm interested here because see Moss looking for possibly a play here toward the mid lane. Nanwan actually knows that Alice is in the brush, forcing the Alice to back off. And this play too from the Grak, this allows China to pick up 3 buffs on the start here.
And they've done that consistently. When China are able to get that many buffs, they win games because they have a massive gold advantage into the mid game.
On top of that, you get so much jungle control around this Abyssal Dragon too, because now you force 007 to check this Might Golem that isn't even there, so he's going to try and go across the map, try and pick up some gold from a different camp, and that leaves this Abyssal Dragon open. You even see Junjun also coming in toward the top side of the map, looking for a hook underneath the tower. Isn't going to find it though.
Monkey will push in nonetheless. Junjun joining him, just threatening Cherry enough that maybe he's a little bit out of position when it comes time to join the rest of the team.
I like this though from Thailand. They realized that Junjun was toward the top side of the map and they already tried to go for a play toward the bot side. If you pick off that kill, possibly an early Abyssal Dragon in your favor. Junjun gets caught out there with the stun. Moss has to be careful. Junjun actually going to go for 007 across the wall instead of going for Moss.
So Junjun's hooks matter, I think, way more in this game particularly because there are so many squishy backline characters to punish. Oftentimes you hear Tell, Grak is the counter to Alice, and I think that's true here. If they can pull Moss out of the backline, if they can pull 07 out of the backline, they win these fights.
Well, Abyssal Dragon going to be started here by China. You see Thailand trying to position themselves. Abyssal Dragon goes down low. Yi Chen's going to pick up the Abyssal. Zenial going to come on down. China's health bars, though, TJ, are looking a little bit low, and 007 will pick up first blood. Mengji will trade on back, but that's a double kill onto the Violet. China looking to re-engage, try and pick off some members of Thailand. They won't find any.
That is not an even trade. Thailand just lost a lot of the players that they want to keep up. Memarks needs to get out ahead.
You see here the Abyssal Dragon taken by China, and it kind of looked good here for Thailand at the start.
Yeah, but it was a beautiful use of the Angelic Splendor, and also one of the big things you saw was the rejoin of the fight from Mengji. He played that entire fight split, zoning out, making sure that Abyssal Dragon was hard to steal. That meant he was a little bit separated when it came time to actually take the fight. However, he was able to come in, sideswipe it, just like the flanks he's been pulling off all tournament long.
You see Yi Chen going up toward that Spirit Sentinel, looking to farm away here on the Lindis. We talk about this pick being so important. I want to see it perform here in Game 4 for China. As long as he's able to keep his positioning during these fights, stay safe, try and kite on the outside of these fights, he should be able to help carry China into those late game fights.
It is all about getting to that late game again for Thailand. China will hit their peak power around that 10-minute mark. That's when their characters and players are at their best, when they'll start chewing through your towers. If Thailand lasts past it, then they start to win the late game, just off of pure team fight potential.
You see 007 roaming toward this mid lane. They want to try and find a pick here on Nanwan, but it looks like China have the exact same plan on the other side of the lane. See Nanwan going on out. It was all a bait. Alice ultimate comes on down. The Flash Cyclone also going to be there from Memarks. Junjun getting taken down a little bit low, but the re-engage is here for China. Remix, though, comes on over to the side. 98K, he's just a little bit too late to the party. Zenial ultimate got interrupted in toward the top side of the map, so Thailand can't go for the dive.
It almost didn't matter, though. The fact that Jerry threatened that Zenial ultimate, the fact that there was that spotlight, made China back up. You don't go for a fight where all of your opponents are about to be healed.
And you saw both teams with the exact same play in mind. Nanwan was the one to take the bait. That also allows Thailand to get some damage onto this bot lane tower. You have Junjun there also with Mengji to try and just clear out the wave. That's actually 98K, apologies. But they got to be careful because that tower's going down low. Memark's coming over toward the side, going to recall.
This is what I was talking about with the home base effect. What the Alice Hissifit can do is set up a space that the players on Thailand can retreat behind during these fights.
Yeah, you see Abyssal Dragon taken down here by Thailand. So they're able to pick one up for themselves. And this is a little bit different here, TJ. We're at 5 minutes, but China isn't ahead by 2,000 gold.
Oh my god, it is so different. And that's what won Thailand all of these close games. Stay in them. Don't let China build a massive early gold lead and power through you in the early mid-game.
For China, and you know, now the strategy that's worked your entire tournament so far,
yes,
being aggressive isn't paying off here in the game that's going to force you into the lower bracket.
Oh,
9AK is able to try and escape underneath the tower, does use his ultimate to disengage. The Alice ultimate also coming on down. Looks like Memarks is going to get caught out. And look at this from the side of China. Nanwon has to be careful though. Cherry going to go for the backline dive. Remix able to kite back into the Dragon Pit. The team is split left and right. Cherry though has to be careful. He may have overstepped a little bit too far. Junjun going to save the hook onto 007. You see the rest of the team falling low. Ultimate's coming on down. Yichen's going to pick up the kill.
They've got 2 hooks. They have the lasso to follow up, but it pays off there. I really also liked, you may not even have caught it, it was tiny. The Angelic Splendor came through and they're able to knock a player out of it.
But they're able to pick up the mid lane tower, and that's crucial for Thailand because that gives them so much map control in the midsection of the map. They gotta be careful though, because Yichen is able to pick up the kill onto Remix. 9AK gonna go ahead, back off to base. In the end though, still 5-5 the kill count.
Watch this.
Gold even.
Lasso comes through from 9AK. Perfect timing, you're able to grab him out. But also, and more importantly, they would have found that kill regardless because Yichen was pushing forward.
See Yichen farming up the jungle once again. Just trying to get those stacks, but up in top lane, this is the power of this Violet. If you leave it alone with minions in the lane, that tower's gonna fall.
Gone, and that's what China rely on. The fact that the Chinese team is going to be ahead in towers and gold at this point in the game. Thailand look completely in control because nobody has broken this Alice hold. China need to start pressuring that. They need to start shutting down the Alice hissy fits, making the fight, stagger it out. When you see the hissy fits start, leave, and then rejoin later.
Well, speaking of rejoining, Cherry's able to get here in time and prevent Remix from falling underneath his tower. The tower itself will fall, but they don't lose out on their members. Still though, China pick up their first tower of the game in bot lane, and the Abyssal Dragon now on the table.
We've seen it a couple times there, we saw it again. If you can push people out of that Angelic Splendor like they did to poor Remix there, you can probably edge out a better edge in the fight than you should have gotten. And I really enjoy seeing the Chinese players do that because it's such good positioning.
Oh, Moss, gotta be a little bit careful. Gets back toward his tower. The Abyssal Dragon was taken here, though, by Thailand. Now sit 400 gold ahead of China. Junjun looking to set up a trap here in mid lane onto Memarks. He's able to find it, but he's going to get that Cyclone on down. 007 is trying to get his damage. Junjun, though, with the flicker forward, is able to zone away the Violet. And that's going to pick up the kill here for China.
That's what I was talking about with disrupting the home base.
You see Mingji trying to go for the engage. The re-engage, though, from Remix gets into the middle. Yichen, though, picks up the kill onto Moss. Angelic Splendor coming on down. Mingji now into the back line. 007 gets taken on down. Remix now going toe-to-toe with 9AK. He has Cherry, though, over toward the side. It's a 3-for-3 for both teams, but China might lose out as it forces 9AK to have to flash over the wall.
I do think overall that's a team fight victory to China because Nanwon survived and Memarks didn't. The potential into the late game is that you're able to build up your key players, and therefore the people that die during these fights matter more so than when and where.
Well, Memarks looking to just clear out the waves. Abyssal Dragons spawning in 40 seconds. 1,000 gold lead for Thailand as we're starting to approach that 10-minute mark, TJ.
I want to highlight... Oh, never mind. There's good pressure.
I was about to say, highlighting plays here. Memarks looking for the kill, but he's not able to secure it as Yichen comes in for the hero play.
I want to highlight the fact that China are doing that. They're adapting. Yes, the big asset for Thailand is that they can go into these fights and then leave them, but if you're able to predict where they need to retreat to, as China did there, you can shut them down pretty easily. Don't let Thailand reset in these battles.
Cherry gets caught out there. Mungji's able to interrupt the jump, has support from his team, going to try and use his ultimate to get out of there, but it's getting interrupted up toward the top side north of him. You see Junjun just zoning away Thailand. They can't come in and save their teammate.
It's all about that zone. They don't have a lot of HP pools over on the Thailand side. Stop them from taking long fight by stopping them from resetting those smaller HP pools.
Still though, you get a catch, but they don't get any objectives. Finally, Yichen though, gonna get onto the Abyssal Dragon, but up toward top side. 9AK has to be careful. Remix is able to follow him over the wall. Namwan comes on over. Thunderbird gonna find it, Mark, and he's able to take down Remix.
That was insanely good Wonderwood mechanical play, using the lasso to get over the wall onto the Spirit Sentinel, and
oh my goodness! Memarks in the 1v1, able to find the kill.
I don't know how he survived. There's an execute available over on Bungie. I guess he just used the execute a moment too early.
You see Moss, gotta be careful there, is able to avoid the hook by staying in the brush. Cherry now coming on over into toward the mid lane. Nanwan just looking to clear out some of these minions. Thailand, though, they got to be a little bit careful here because 9AK is looking to position.
Interesting in that last fight, Memarks had a flicker that he didn't use. He was so confident he would win that fight. He could have at any point during that flickered over his opponent to gain the edge, flickered away to stay safe. He just stayed in.
Maybe wants to try and save it for a fight just around the corner here on the side of Thailand. Now sitting a little bit behind in the gold count. You see China are able to pick up their 11th kill of the game. Cherry down toward this bot side, looking for a play. Mungji has to be a little bit careful. Going down below. Cherry can't get out with the ultimate. It gets disrupted again, but look up toward the top side of the map. Thailand going for the Dark Slayer.
This is not going to work out, though. China are in on your game.
Yichen's still pretty far away. It's a 4v3, TJ. You see Junjun. He tries to use his ultimate, gets interrupted. Mimarks is able to pick up the kill. Remix, though, will fall. 9AK now going toe-to-toe with the flash. Yichen finally rejoins the fight after coming all the way from the bot lane. But guess what? There's a Scud pushing down your bot lane tower.
They read that into the bush. They had no vision on Memarks' exact position, and they still land the lasso. And China still takes the towers, and they still look good in this game 4.
You see them now rotating over toward this Dark Slayer. Thailand, they got to start running, but it's a little bit too late as Dark Slayer goes in favor of China in game 4.
This is exactly what Thailand should be dreading. The Chinese team has now built out a lead, and they've started to, I think, demonstrate their adaptability. A good call from their teammates to know how you win these fights. Pressure Cherry, stop the Angelic Splendor from coming through. Pressure Moss, stop that hissing fit from being crucial in the team fights. And most importantly, cut off the flash.
But he can't do that. Junjun gets caught out, isn't able to use his ultimate, and Thailand find the fight in the jungle. Nanwan gonna get taken on down. That's 3 members of China falling.
That is insane, and it comes again off of Thailand. They're able to play that fight so well with the cutoff.
Mungji, he's trying to at least avoid, try and take down Remix, but he survives, TJ.
Remix has been crucial in 2 fights in a row. The first time, he was just waiting in the jungle. He knew where the Chinese team was going to have to retreat to, much like China had been doing to Memarks and various other Thai players. He had them at their weakest when they thought they had an opportunity to reset. Then in that, so actually, we have the example right here. Remix just punishing the backline, and the Angelic Splendor comes through the second he gets low. Very clever use of it.
And you see Thailand are able to pick up the tower. Cherry gets caught out. 9AK actually using his ultimate to try and zone away Thailand, try and force a disengage. But now Thailand, with the advantage, and this Violet can start shredding the towers if she's left alone.
Cherry will be unfortunately pulled in.
That's going to be the World Devourer already used. Cyclone coming into the backside. Look at the health bars on China. Remix comes on in with the flank underneath the tower, picks up the kill.
Thailand are on the brink of taking this match. They've got it down to the high ground towers, and there are very few defenders active on the Chinese team to take them.
Nanwan, you're starting to see a little bit of his play style. When China get desperate, he tries to go for flanks. He tries to make the hero play. Oftentimes, though, it does come back and bite him. China, though, are able to prevent that high ground tower from falling.
I look now to Junjun. In their hour of need, the Grax still has the potential to make key plays because despite being behind in gold, despite being behind perhaps in level, he can land the hooks and easily win the team fights. You need to be landing those hooks onto the key isolated players, such as Moss, such as 007.
You see China rotating toward this mid lane, trying to push it back. Thailand trying to take some of the jungle away. Moss still sitting over toward the side, looking to set up a trap with Mimarks. Instead, clearing out that wave. Nothing really available on the map. Instead, opting to go down toward this Abyssal Dragon to take at least that off.
Taking the Abyssal Dragon further builds this gold lead out in favor of Thailand, and you can see it's begun to become very important for them as they're winning a lot of these team fights. And Manji, this is too far forward.
Look at the crits coming on out from the Violet, TJ, the damage.
And Cherry was being pressured in the meantime. He leaves top lane with the Angelic Splendor, but he's here for the tower take.
Thailand, they can just strike down this high ground tower. And unfortunately now China's base has been fractured, now exposed. You see Yichen a little bit careful there. Mimarks actually getting a little trigger happy, it would seem, with the ultimate.
It was defense. Because he's using the Cyclone, he can stay safe. It wasn't a great time versus the Lindis to take a proper fight, so you use the Cyclone to use
Oh my lord, Nanwan, he stepped a little too far forward. Junjun, sure, you have the World Devour, but there's no follow-up. 007 will pick up the kill.
Junjun, yes, you die, but you did so heroically, because he manages to slow down that burst, that push, which should have claimed their key damage member.
And allows the Scud in the bot lane to try and push back the wave up toward topside, though. Yichen gets caught out. The Lindis is off the map. Thailand with the man advantage. They now are in a 3v5.
Honestly, that could be game. The fact that they're out for another 40 seconds and Junjun's still down for 20, this means these towers are going to fall. That's a high ground.
Now in the lane. Alice ultimate just looking to zone away. Nanwan is able to stay safe, but he's going to be forced to back off. 9AK can't do anything as the high ground tower will fall, and so will he. Make it all three. The base in shambles. Mungji looks for the hero play, but he can't find it. And China, it looks like they're going to drop down into the lower bracket, go against Chinese Taipei, and Thailand move on to face Korea.
Ecstatic on the stage. And Thailand very well should be a bit of an upset in my mind, and beautifully done by them, carefully edging out China.
Well, for me, TJ, this is kind of the first time we've seen China really challenged, and they look desperate.
And they ended up making flat-out misplays at times. We saw that World Devour repeatedly come out too early. The hooks land on the wrong targets. There are obvious people to focus there. You have the Grak into an Alice poke come. You know who is weak, you know who you need to pull in, and we never saw those hooks land. We never saw that pressure land. And well, Thailand walked away as a result.
And showing their form as the #1 seed coming into the tournament, now have to go against the dominant tacticians of the group stage.
Oh, I can't wait.
Of Korea. But you can see there, GG's all around. It's a 3-1 victory for Thailand. And for China now, TJ, they drop down, face Chinese Taipei. You know, what's got to be going through their minds? Because this is their first series loss of the tournament.
That is the first time many of these teams have dropped a series, and I think China have to be a little bit worried as a result of it, because it was, in many times, I feel misplays specifically, and I hate to do this because I like Grak, but from Junjun.
Yeah, see Junjun, he tried his best there, but unfortunately could not equal Moss at times. As you can see overall, I got to give it to Yichen, though, on that Lindis. Was able to partake in a lot of these kills, tried his best, but you know, when you get caught out there, that's going to be what costs you. And for Thailand, they got to be feeling happy.
Menji's got to be my hero player here for China.
Oh, yeah.
He was the reason they were in these sets. It's the second BO5 here on stage today where we've seen that Scud pick be so powerful. Just the potential of it to constantly get into the backline, shut down your key damage dealers is massive, and I loved it. Lindis especially. Answering back at times from Yichen, providing so much damage, and I think often brutally shutting down the dive. And that's what they needed more of. We saw a moment, I don't know if you call it, where the entrapment managed to pick up the Alice just way at the back lines. And it was just the ability to zone and the knowledge of where their opponents are going to be that allowed them to get a little bit of extra ground in that game.
You can see there for Thailand, 16-23 for Game 4. They take the series 3-1, TJ. We're going to go ahead, send it down toward the stage with Matt, who's got an interview with 007.
TJ Opal, thank you very much. We'll see some more from our casters later on today. We'll see some more, of course, of Thailand. 007X and his guys are through to the winners final. Ladies and gentlemen, Yeah, a lot of love and support here at the TCL Chinese Theatre for Thailand. 007X, you were just doing this to me just now. That was really intense.
เมื่อกี้ทำมืออย่างเงี้ยตื่นเต้นนะ
ตื่นเต้นครับผมก็เป็นเกมที่สูสีครับเขานำเราได้ต้นเกมแล้วเราก็พลิกเกมกลับมาทุกเกมเหนื่อย
So yeah, very close game, all of the games, and very excited. Every game, like China always take the lead in early game, and then finally they get the chance to fight back later.
Yeah, every time it seemed like China did have the lead in those games, and then just gradually, maybe somewhere around the sort of 10-minute mark or so on, Thailand just started to pass them and then pushed it all the way to the finish. Were they worried at any time, and how did they keep turning those games around?
ก็ปกติทุกเกมครับที่โดนนำตื่นเต้นไหมแล้วแบบทำยังไงถึงแบบกลับมาได้อะไรเงี้ย
ก็ใช้ความผิดพลาดของคู่ต่อสู้ครับแล้วก็เราก็เวลาคู่ต่อสู้พลาดเราก็ทำให้เขาเสียอ็อบเจกต์อะไรพวกนี้แล้วก็เอาค่าขึ้นมาจากทีมไฟท์ที่เราเล่นเก่งกว่าครับ
So mainly they just focus on the team fight and what they do when they are on the behind. They just focus on when China make any mistake. They try to catch that moment and then turn it around.
Yeah, and that seemed to work out. As TJ was pointing out earlier on, there were a few sort of little mistakes from China along the way. Thailand now go to the winners' final against Korea, which we will be bringing you today. And the winner of that is into our grand final and guaranteed at least $100,000 in that grand final. So how do they fancy their chances against Korea based on what we saw of Korea earlier today?
จากเกมเกาหลีที่ดูไปคิดว่าตัวเองมีโอกาสแค่ไหน
ก็น่าจะชนะได้ครับผม 100% ครับ
So he said like the chance of winning is around 100%.
Your chance of winning against Korea, who demolished North America. Sorry, locals, but it does need to be said. If you missed that game, you didn't take long, and then wiped out Chinese Taipei earlier on, and you are going to take Korea really easily?
คิดว่าจะเอาไปง่ายๆเลยใช่ไหม
ก็ไม่น่าง่ายครับน่าสูสีสนุกแน่นอนครับ
So not easy game for sure. Should be a good game for both of them. Yeah.
Should be a good game for everybody watching as well, I think. The 100% confident Thailand, ladies and gentlemen, are into the winners' final. They will face Korea later on today, but before that, of the 4 teams who made it to this stage, one of them is going to leave us very soon. It's that game nobody wants to be in. It's the losers bracket, the losers semi-final. It's Chinese Taipei against China. That is coming up. That is going to be exciting, and the loser of that is done at the World Cup final. So don't go anywhere. We are barely getting started here at the Arena of Valor World Cup.